Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kyle Cheslock. I am the VP of Sales over at The Lead Tool. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, we do these every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, and it's really off the cuff. So if you're in a work setting or got some kids around, you may not want to bring them in on this. But nevertheless, you guys will get some good information as we talk about all kinds of topics. Like today, we're going to be talking about leadership. But before we jump into that, my counterpart Chase will be popping in here in any second. As well as, we always love hearing from you guys. So if you want to chat into us, obviously on our Facebook Live, we do read those, answer questions in real time. We also end up posting all this stuff up to our other channels too. So, Instagram, Twitter, all at The Lead Tool. For those podcast fans out there, we do push it up to iTunes as well as SoundCloud. So feel free to take a listen to that as you're driving into work or from work, whatever it may be. So there's all kinds of other podcasts that we've ran that'll be available to you on there too. And last but not least, we post them on YouTube as well. So pretty much any avenue you want to get this information, we're going to be there for you. So, but nevertheless, like I said, thanks for joining us. I am going to dive right in. So, we typically talk about a lot of technology, but I think today, we talk about leadership. It's something we discuss pretty often, both internally and externally within our conversations with customers, prospective customers, with other guys we work with.
Qualification.
Yeah, totally is.
If you don't fucking lead, we won't sell you anything.
You can't. You can't at the end of the day. So, and we just talked about this morning. So, it's as it pertains to technology in the industry.
As it pertains to anything.
Yeah, but I want to focus specifically on the technology piece right now. Is when it comes to leadership, something we hear about all the time is adoption. My people won't use it.
Yeah, and in tech, that's hands down the problem.
Huge, every time. And even when they do buy something, they think they can get adoption and it fails, they're kind of left wondering, like, I don't know why they did, or my people just didn't use it.
Well, a lot of people, they it's like typical for people in general. They don't look in the mirror.
Yeah. Exactly.
They want to blame. They think buying software, and I think it was you.
Plug and play. I think it's plug and play, right?
Yeah, and it was on the. Unfortunately, we didn't save it because we couldn't get Facebook Live to let Wes in.
Yeah.
But I think you were saying that people buy software and think it's a magic bullet, and that it's just going to solve these problems without any work. Well, I got news for you. It's going to cut down on your workload. But anytime you're implementing a change,
it requires work.
You're gonna have to work,
to affect change.
When you go to work, you have to work.
Surprise
everybody!
Let me ask you this: where does that start, though?
It starts at the top, which is a scary fact, and why this is really relevant is we obviously schedule follow-ups out on deals where we can't get through or we might lose the deal.
Launching account, you name it.
Like a year out. So, year out, 18 months out, whatever. So, some of those have been coming up recently for Kyle, and a number of the people that you've called have been out of business. Ironic. Interesting, because a couple weeks ago we were talking about how there's been a 37% decline in the number of flooring retailers. There's been a 35% decline in the number of retail furniture stores. There's been a 27% decline in retail lumber yards.
Moral of the story, there's significant consolidation over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes down to, a lot of these shops are the people who will be like, oh, well, we can't get our people to use this. Well, what does
that even mean?
First of all, you suck at leading.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you that. If that's how you feel, if you can't get your troops to fall in line, you're a shit general. There's just no way around that. I'm sorry.
Who's calling the shots? That's always my question.
And when we were getting...
and it has nothing to do with treating your people right and providing a great work ethic. It has nothing to do with that.
Leadership is not is not that at all. And it's early on, before when we were little, we had it was me and my two partners. Before anyone was here, we signed up our first larger customer, and I remember talking to them, and they were like, well, unlike you guys, we can't just say, well, you guys have got to use this technology, because the industry we're in. That's a lie. It's a cop-out. It's literally just saying, I don't want to do my job. I don't want to lead. Like, I don't want to have the hard conversations.
The question is, why not? No, like, if you're an organization of 5 people or you have 150, why not?
Because it's easy. It's easy not to.
Yeah.
Like, because leading is hard. Like, all of this stuff is hard. Like, everyone thinks, like, it's easy, you just let your people, oh, well, we've done it this way. I don't need to change it. Well, like, I got news for you. You're a dying breed if you're an independent retailer. Flat out. If you're not doing e-commerce, you're 110%. Statistically, you're a dying breed.
The next 5 years is going to be real tough.
It's going to be brutal. So good luck if you're not, like, working on getting your shit together. It's kind of like, we talked to actually a larger yard today. You talked to him. Director of IT buys into CRM. Sales manager, no. I don't see value in this. Okay, well, like, that's kind of like saying, I don't see value in servicing my customers. Well, I mean, are they going to be there if we did a 5-year follow-up? I'm willing to bet probably not. Because if in 2017, as a sales manager of a large organization, you don't see value in customer relationship management, I don't know how you have a job. Just to be honest with you. So, and I think that's where,
whether you're in a retail store, a retail yard, wholesale, distribution,
that
across the board. If you're B2B,
that type of shit,
selling B2B on here, like, at the end of the day,
it's rampant all the way across. Like, it doesn't matter which part of the supply chain you're talking about, but the big thing is like, we see so many people who will, be like, well, I can't get my people to use it. Well, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, that just tells us that from our perspective, if you tell us that, and that's one of the things, like, just so you guys understand how serious we are about this, we vet that on phone calls, regardless of whether or not you're looking at doing $2 million a year with us or $2,000 a year. Like, if you can't drive change in your organization and get your people to fall in line, which, like, it's definitely demographics, because the younger staffs, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, they fall in line more easily. They actually want it, but it's, they're like, we can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, first of all, we've already proven that wrong a number of times. But, like, and that all comes down to how you lead.
Is there going to be a period of bumps in the road when you're going through an implementation of whatever technology it is? Absolutely. 100%. If anybody tells you differently, run away from that vendor, because there is going to be a period of change. There's going to be a period of adjustment, but you guys, it's not going to be a 18-month process that you're going to hear nothing but bitching from your employees about at all. Like, we're talking about a finite window of opportunity that reaps benefits for months, years down the road, depending on what the technology is.
And this falls into the category of a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, saying that, like, people are not taking the change in the marketplace serious enough. Like, they're not. And this is all part of that, because they think that, we can just get by. Like, I'm telling you, like, you can get by until you can. Like, and that's what scares me, is there's so many, like, great, what were past tense great businesses that are not going to be great businesses going forward for this one reason. The fact that leadership won't drive change. And this is like, it comes from technology, but it also has nothing to do with technology.
Sales process.
This goes across. This goes across your entire organization. If you can't drive change with technology, all that tells me is you can't drive change. Period. You're not in control.
Yeah.
Your employees are in control, and like that tells me, being the CEO of a subscription-based business, that I might get your revenue for 12 months, but like, am I going to have your revenue for 36 months, which is actually what matters to us? That's where subscription businesses start making money. I'm betting against you at that point.
I'm going to take it one step further. As a customer, as a consumer myself, what that tells about me, if I come into your store and you have 5 different people that are employed for you, or you have multi-locations with different people in it, what that tells me is I'm going to get a different experience no matter what location I go into or who I talk to. There will be zero consistency at all, and that's a major problem.
Well, it's not even like, you know, it's not even so much that. It's just like you're
It
hard.
absolutely is, though.
You're hard to. Well, no, because I don't think consumers don't think about it. Oh, my experience here is different. My experience here is different. Here's what consumers think: this person is not easy to buy from. This business is not easy to buy from because there's not.
But that comes back to my point, though. If you go to, my point is, most consumers aren't having that on top of their mind when they go into these stores. What happens is, though, they go into Yelp, they do a review of whoever it is.
Yeah.
You know, so subconsciously, like, this is happening,
even
though it's not at the forefront of their mind.
Yeah, people are.
And my point is, from a company, you have an opportunity to control that.
Yeah,
that's where I'm getting at.
You can standardize it. I just think like consumers, like they're literally going to be like, okay, this sucks, and walk out.
But if you can have a consistent process from person to person, store to store,
that's how
old, young, whatever it is.
That's how you avoid the problem.
Whole problem.
You avoid the entire thing that way.
Yeah.
But that goes.
That takes leadership.
That goes back to leadership, and it's literally, it's like we had someone telling us not long ago, oh yeah, like all this stuff is things that like our boss just like forced on us. It's like, like you're an employee.
Yeah.
You're going to do what the boss says. Like, if someone came in here and said, Chase, I'm not going to do X, Y, or Z, or I'm not going to, like...
That shit ain't going to fly.
I'm going to be like, okay, like, there's the door.
Yeah.
Like, it's really simple. And
that's actually a really good point, because another thing that we always hear about is, well, they're my top producer, or they've been with me for 20 years, and I'm afraid they'll leave. Pretty common.
It doesn't matter, because, like, it's about your team. It's not about these all-stars, like these one-off players, and if they don't want to play ball, like, good luck.
It's cliche to talk about, team is bigger than one person, but it's so true.
No, it is, because, like, they're literally going to bring everyone else down as you're trying to affect change, and everyone's going to be pointing to them.
And a lot of times it's behind your back, and you don't even know about it.
Yeah.
It's sabotaging what you're trying to create.
And so, like, at that point, like, that person is not playing for the team. They're playing for themselves because they think they're above the law. And I mean, the other thing too, like, is, and I had this conversation with a very large, like, partner of ours, is that what independent retail, speaking generally, like, not those of you who had to go through 10 banks to get a loan to get off the ground. Not talking about you. I'm talking about your general specialty retailer. Like, you guys just don't have the drive that, like, tech startups do, and this was in the context of Amazon.
Yeah.
And I was telling, this potential client of ours, I said, look, like, the thing you got to remember is Amazon and all these other companies are being run like startups. Like, startups they share for the most part, regardless of all the hippy-dippy crap you see with all the branded t-shirts and ping pong, like, behind closed doors, like, we all have one thing in common. We are all out for total market domination. We are out for blood, and we're going to take the path of least resistance within reason to get there. So these
disruptions in their DNA.
These e-commerce startups that are coming to brick and mortar, they don't give a shit about you being there for 50 years. If you're not trying to grow, they're going to eat you, and they don't care. And you know what? If they eat you, good for them. Because their game is not that difficult, but that's the other piece of this equation, that leadership, and if leadership took, like, the change that's going on in the world seriously, they would take that seriously, and they would put systems, processes, whatever it is that's needed into place, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But the fact of the matter is that there's not a market awareness about the fact that like, let me explain something to those of you who are not familiar with technology companies. They're generally investment backed. They've got angel investors. They've got institutional venture funds. That means they've got board of directors, just like us, like board of directors who are evaluating performance. Like, they evaluate me. I evaluate him and everyone else. They evaluate me. They expect growth, they expect consistent growth, and they don't really want to hear about it, and that's just the end of the story. So, like, if we're not growing and we're not penetrating the market, like, we're losing. So you have to understand that a lot of your competition, and I would argue that even some of the, I think the box stores are run this way. I think
Home Depot's done a great job.
I think Home Depot's run this way. I think Floor & Decor is probably run this way. companies like that, they're just, and Amazon is certainly run this way. Wayfair is.
They invest in their people, right? And
right.
systems
and
technology.
But here's the thing too, and this is where leaders have a problem, because they are not thinking like leaders have the same. It's funny talking about like public companies. Like I always joke, because the conversations like I have when I pitch a public company, like you can tell, all they give a shit about is like the next quarter's earnings. And I would argue that leadership in small business is very short-sighted, albeit in a different way. They're thinking, oh my gosh, like this employee of mine isn't going to use this. Here's the thing, the tech companies are thinking not about necessarily what processes and their employees are going, or technology their employees are going to like or dislike. They're thinking about what's going to make it easier for their customer to buy from them. So they're like bypassing the thought about, oh my god, I have one rock star. They're thinking, what do my customers want? How do I deliver that? How do I provide technology and processes and solutions to my workforce to deliver that? And then they back into everything from there. So that's where like leaders, you guys, you have to think beyond like your rock star employee and think, what do your customers want? Because that's what's going to get you where you want to be 10 years from now. Not like, it's not about tomorrow, it's about 10 years from now.
And to piggyback off that, and just taking it, you raise it 30,000 feet, in order to do that and achieve that and put a plan in place, you first have to take a step up, lift your head up, and look at your business. I think too many people are managing their business in their business, and to an extent you have to be, but at the same time, in order to lead, you got to be able to look at your business objectively, see holes, see areas that you can improve, see differences in processes and systems and things of that nature. Do your research, see what's out there, see what can make it easier to buy from you. But that's going to require you to take a step back and actually look at how you can make your business better. And I think that's a difficult thing for a lot of people.
Well, like I said earlier, people don't like looking in the mirror. Yeah. They buy a piece of software that can do a lot for them, and then it's like, everyone wants to like have a powwow around email marketing software. If you write crappy emails that have if you write emails, like forget how good your email is, if you write crappy subject lines, it's worthless.
Well, even email marketing, we talk about it. I mean, you're lucky to get a 20% open rate and 1%.
Email marketing is largely dead. But I'm just using that as an example, right? Yeah. Like, it's not the equipment, it's the operator. That's something my dad always says. And in this case, that's always what it is. It's not the equipment, it's the operator. They don't want to look in the mirror. They don't want to look at their business. You need to remove yourself from the echo chamber of your business, and for some of you, the echo chamber of your own industry, where you walk around and everyone will tell you, oh, everything's great, I'm this, I'm that. You're not shit, probably, to be honest with you. You're getting eaten alive and you don't even know it. That's the funny thing, and I see
and you gotta have that mentality, because we aren't shit. You know what I mean? You have that mentality when it comes down to it, because you always are improving on it. Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we could be doing, $1 billion right now, and in my opinion, we still wouldn't be shit.
Still room to grow.
There's someone out there who's doing better than us. Yeah, there's always someone coming for you, and I think that's where a lot of people, and there is in a lot of these industries, there's an echo chamber. There really truly is, and we've heard it across the board, because you get groups to get you. Some of the industries, you got vendors who will basically hold your private parts while you're peeing. They'll hold them for you, and there's way too much concentration on the vendor, so they think you've got these groups of businesses that think that they're God's gift to the earth, and meanwhile they're in massive decline. Customers don't give a shit; they're buying elsewhere. But because I say it's true and everything's great and we're the best businesses in the world, we must be. Well, unfortunately, you're being judged by the market leaders, so keep that in mind. You are judged by
There's
yourself,
a target on your back.
Or you're not the judge. The market is the judge. So if the market deems that you need mobile point of sale like Square, and you decide, well, my people won't use it, or well, my 25-year-old ERP system, they said they'd do that 2 years ago, and then you just decide to hold off, and the market says you got to have it. Eventually, you're going out,
that have that
because the market doesn't care about you, it doesn't care about me, it doesn't care about anyone here. Like, we answer to the market, and leadership
companies like Amazon exist.
That's what floors me, is everybody acts like they're this big bad wolf, and it's like they've been given so much runway by brick and mortar retail. Like,
there's a reason why these like Zillow, same thing. Like, they found a hole and they filled it.
Yeah, it's like
that's what's happening.
A good friend of mine who was one of the original senior engineers at Yahoo. He said he was talking to somebody a friend of ours who has a construction business, specialty business in steel, and Chuck said, he was saying, there's no way it'll go electronic, and like Chuck said to this guy, like, I love you, but I guarantee you, like, I've been doing this long enough that if I look at your process, give me a week, I'll poke holes in it. Mm-hmm. And like tech will always fill those holes. So I think what scares me is like, you look at all these what were great small businesses, what are great small businesses, and they're literally asleep at the wheel. In a lot of cases, like we always say, they're dead and they don't know it, and they're going to get run over for no other reason than shit leadership. And leadership just being afraid to lead and not responding to the market. And you got to respond to the market, because the market is the only thing that matters.
And the market also includes people who work for you, right? And by 2025, 75% of the workforce is going to be millennials. And if you aren't doing these things now, there's no way you're going to be able to attract them then, let alone now. And if you start then, you're already too late.
Yeah, millennials not going to want to work on a Windows XP workstation.
You'll never get
come on, man. Like,
yeah. And people don't want to. As much as they say differently, people don't want to work for a manager. They want to work for a leader. That means hard conversations. That means doing things that may ruffle feathers in the beginning that pay off long term, but you got to be vested in it.
Yeah, I think I cannot stress enough, this all really just comes back to not taking the change that's going on in the world seriously.
Yeah,
and that's why,
or get the hell out of the way.
That's why a year from now, the people that are on our long-term follow-up list, we're going to call them. There are going to be a number of them that are going to be out of business, just like there are a number of them. And like, it sucks. Like, no one here is happy about this. Like, I can't. But like, this is the conversation that needs to be had. Like, there are too many people who aren't taking this seriously. It scares the shit out of me for them, and for those of you who aren't. But
at
the end of the day, like, if you're not taking the change seriously, like, it does suck. But like,
you don't feel sorry for
I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah,
I'm not. Like, because you had your chance.
You got to want to.
You didn't listen to the market. You didn't lead, and like, and that's the other thing too. Like, the bright spot in this is it's not hard. Like,
action,
it's
right.
and
that's a good point and a good shift. We're not saying this stuff where you got to cold turkey it tomorrow and boom, drop everything you're doing and put all your effort and energies into this. Like, all we're saying is take the step forward, start evaluating. Make a change, and you can build on top of that. You don't have to do 100 things at one time.
It all starts
1% each day gets you 365% turnaround in a year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So just making little changes. You don't have to go overhaul everything, but like, think in terms of like,
identifying what your holes are.
If you are, and I would argue, like, the first and easiest place to start, I think the low-hanging fruit is, if I decided to implement X, what would my thoughts be? Oh, well, so-and-so is not going to use it. Because if that's the case, you need to take a really hard look in the mirror and think about why you're the boss. Because the world needs a lot of great number twos. They need, people to back up the CEO, but you should not be the president and CEO.
If you're not able to make those decisions.
Yeah, if you're worried about, oh my gosh, like, my customers, my business needs this, but, X employee won't do it, like, that's a conversation you need to have with yourself. Like, and I say that, like, having run a company now for 4 years. It's just like, that's where you start. So figure that out.
Whether you're 1 year old, whether you're 30 years old.
Yeah, where do you want to be, where do you want to be in 5 years too? Like, and then think, here's a good one. Where do you want to be in 5 years, and where's your all-star salesperson who's been with you for 30 years going to be? Like, are they going to be there in 5 years? And if so, like, what's the market look like? And are you still going to allow them to dictate, you know,
What you're doing.
What you're doing? Like, I get loyalty. I get all that. I think loyalty is the most important thing in the world. But, like, you also have, I think the biggest...
And it will still be there, though. They've been with you for a reason.
The biggest thing we're overlooking here is the fact that, like, as a leader, you have an obligation to your employees and to your customers, most importantly, to drive the business forward. And if you do not do that, that's essentially a breach of fiduciary duty, but really what you're doing is you're screwing your employees and you're screwing your business, you're screwing your customers, and ultimately, you're screwing yourself.
And again, I can't stress enough, they've been with you for 30 years, they're not going to leave you for a change you're making to a process or a system. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
So,
and you know what? It might, and if it does, so be it. You're better off for it because the business, like, the show goes on. So that's part of, like, if this was easy, everyone would be doing it. Everyone, like, all of you would be, you know, running Home Depot.
Yeah.
Like, we would have a bunch of, like, $75 billion home centers, like, and lumber yards, you know, but, like, we're not. So, if, you know, if it were easy, like, we would have, like, tripled Salesforce's revenue, like, a year ago.
Yeah.
You know?
It takes work, it takes progress, it takes just having action. Action. Action, action, action. You gotta do. If you don't do, nothing's gonna happen. So, you know, at the end of the day, all of this is achievable. All of this can help your company. You just gotta decide if you want to lead or follow.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to end it.
So, thanks for joining us today, guys. Always love having you. Feel free to share far and wide with anybody you feel like this would benefit. Hopefully you guys got some takeaways from it. We will be posting this up to all of our channels. YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud. Check us out on LinkedIn. I always say LinkedIn. Instagram and Twitter at The Lead Tool for all of them. Give us a like. We'd love to hear from you guys. Otherwise, check us out next Wednesday at 3 o'clock for another round of In the Lead Off the Record.
Awesome. Have a great day. I like the red phone. It's colorful.
Go Bucks.